Caring for two babies at the same time is one of the hardest things a person can do in their entire lifetime. It seems like it's a never ending marathon. We all know that the first year of being a twin parent can be overwhelming and put us into what we know as survival mode. But are we destined to just survive? Or is it possible to have a more fulfilling life than just getting by during this time? Our expert today is Kristen Eberly, twin mom and twin mom coach. She's the founder of Harmony in Multiples, who helps twin moms go from surviving into thriving. This is Twin Talks.
The ultrasound shows your babies to be healthy.
What? Did you say babies? You're huge. Are you having twins?
Are they natural?
Which one do you like better?
Twins, huh? My neighbor's cousin's brother's uncle's a twin.
So can they read each other's minds?
How do you tell them apart?
Twins? You got a 2 for 1.
Do twins run in your family?
Double trouble. You're not having any more, are you?
At least you're not Octomom.
If you're pregnant with twins or you're an experienced twin parent, odds are you've heard it all before. Now it's time to hear from the experts. This is Twin Talks, Parenting Times 2. Welcome to Twin Talks. My name is Christine Stewart Fitzgerald, and I'm your host. I first had my identical twin girls, and then 2 years later, I thought that having another baby would be a good idea. Well, it was eventually, but it was truly hard the first couple years. And I'll talk a little bit about more of that in just a bit with our guest. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button in your podcast app and make sure you get the latest content. You can also get updates about our new episodes from Twin Talks and other great parenting shows by subscribing to our weekly newsletter at newmommymedia.com. And if you're interested in getting an inside look at our show, then check out our membership club called Mighty Moms. It's where we chat more about the topics discussed here on the show, and it's a great way to suggest topic ideas or even to let us know that you'd like to be a guest on an upcoming episode. Well, let's meet our guest today. So with us is Kristen Eberly. She is a twin mom coach with a background in maternal mental health, and she specializes in helping women manage the chaos of parenthood, especially as a twin mom herself. Kristen, tell us a little bit about your family.
Yes, so thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here today to talk with you. So I am Kristen, and I am a mom to a singleton who is 6.5 years old. He's a singleton boy. And I'm also a mom to identical twin boys who just turned 4. And so I am I am a friend of survival mode. I know what it's like. I've been there, and I am excited to be able to talk about it today. I think for me, survival mode kind of just snuck up on me. With my first, I felt like I was okay, and I was really navigating it. I was specialized in early childhood mental health and maternal mental health, so I really thought that I was going to do great. And then all of a sudden, became a mom and realized, like, wow, this is a lot harder than I expected. And did a lot of work to be able to try to help myself and then help my kiddo. And then I became a twin mom I'm going to back up, in January of 2020. I was pregnant, but found out at my 20-week anatomy scan that it was actually twins. So I had 2 previous anatomy scans, and they missed that second baby. So I guess that, hidden twin syndrome, I guess, can be a real thing. And so that was January 2020. We found out it was twins at 20 weeks. And then I just started to feel like I was always like behind and I was catching up. I missed the extra ultrasounds. I wasn't taking enough prenatal vitamins. We had to do the special heart checks, all of the things. And I just felt like I was perpetually behind. And then in March 2020 came the pandemic. Then my boys were born in April 2020. And so it was just a whirlwind. And I quickly found myself in survival mode without even really realizing what was happening and why I was there and what caused me to be there. And it took me a long time to get out of survival mode. And I used that work that I did myself personally, and then my training, my education, my background, to be able to help twin moms either stop survival mode, or if they're in survival mode, to get out of that survival mode cycle. So we can enjoy our twins, and we can actually find joy in the moments that everyone tells us that we're supposed to. So I'm glad to be here to talk about it.
Wow, we are so glad to have you today. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about what it's like to be in the first year, and how getting out of survival mode might actually be possible. And we're back with our guest today talking about what it might mean to go beyond just surviving that first year of being a twin parent. So let's dive in. Okay, so Kristen, as you're describing, we know it is so hard between the lack of sleep and just the sheer time spent feeding the twins and trying to keep some degree of normalcy, whatever that is. I mean, it is just so overwhelming. And the new normal, I mean, it's like nothing, but like before there's life before twins and life after twins, and there's just nothing that resembles it. And I have to say, when you're in your intro and you mentioned that you had a son, and you had your singleton first. In my case,
Mm-hmm.
I had my twin girls, so I knew nothing about parenting anyway. But it sounds
Mm-hmm.
like when you had your son, you thought, okay, I've been down this path of having a pregnancy and having a baby, and you felt probably somewhat prepared for it. And then you find out twins is like, oh my gosh, this is just a whole nother ball game.
Yep. Yep. I thought I was going to be confident. Second time mom, I knew what I was doing. And then it was twins. And then I had no idea.
It's just like, oh, and so I think that is just such a common thread, even for experienced parents,
Mm-hmm.
that yeah, once we learn we have twins, it's just like, okay, this is just beyond my scope. I don't, I'm entering into this space of, where I don't know how to handle it. And,
Mm-hmm.
just, it's almost like immediately feeling overwhelmed. I mean, I can say for myself, it's kind of when, found out having twins, it's like, oh, okay, I don't know where to go. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Like, I mean, I was thinking in our case, we were planning on having a baby in our small little condo. And then when it was twins, it's like, wait a minute, we don't even have the space. Like, it just
Mm-hmm.
opened up a whole new realm. And I just felt like I literally felt overwhelmed just within, the few, days and weeks of like, this is so much bigger than I was expecting. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think, after, when we get towards having the twins and then the day to day, and we tend to shift towards just getting through the next day without shutting down physically or emotionally. So I don't, when you hear from twin moms, how do they often describe survival mode?
Yeah, this is a really great question. And first, I want to describe what survival mode is and how we often end up in survival mode as twin moms, and then we can describe a little bit more about like what people are saying. So, for twin moms, the constant demands and challenges of caring for two little ones can often lead to a state of survival mode, and that's like how I describe it: is it's a heightened state of stress and arousal in our bodies, and our minds are focused solely on meeting the immediate needs of our children and managing the day to day responsibilities of parenting our twins and maybe any other children that we have. It's a natural response to the overwhelming demands of twin parenting. It's like our body's way of prioritizing like survival and ensuring the safety and well-being of our children. Like
Hmm.
it's helpful in the short term. It allows us to handle crises and meet urgent needs, but it becomes problematic when it becomes our default mode of operating on a daily basis. When
Mm,
we're
mhm,
constantly in survival mode, our bodies are flooded with those stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, and it often leads to that chronic stress, exhaustion, and overwhelm. And one of the problems with survival mode is that we often don't know we're actually in survival mode until maybe looking back, or we connect with someone who helps us see it, or there's just it's so hard because it's like it's our new normal, right? Like you said, it's our new way of being. But sometimes what I will hear from twin moms is like, I feel like I'm just trying to keep my head above water most days. Or someone will say, like, I can't remember the last time I had a moment to myself. Like every
yeah.
day feels like a whirlwind of feedings, diaper changings, and taking care of the kiddos. And like they'll say things like I'm running on fumes, but somehow I just keep going.
Mhm,
Even like sometimes people will say like, I feel like I'm on constant high alert, waiting for the next meltdown or diaper change, blowout, next wake window, next time they wake up in the middle of the night. Or they'll say things like, I'm so exhausted, but there's always something else that needs to be done. Or things like, I just need a break. Even a few minutes of peace and quiet would make a world of difference. And so when we hear these things, we can say, like, oh, that doesn't necessarily sound like what we expected this early years to look like. We know it's going to be hard. And with twins, we know it's going to be even harder. But this is a little bit different. The survival mode is just like, there's not enough time. We can never take a break. We can't rest. We're always thinking about the next thing we have to do, or the next like wake window feed, whatever it may be. And it's not, for me, the biggest indicator that we're in the survival mode is that we're not focusing on finding these moments of joy with our twins or in our life. We're really having a hard time focusing on anything other than the next thing that we have to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's interesting that you said like it's kind of this, you're saying it's like this primal instinct that we have
Mm-hmm.
to just get through and focus on, okay, the next thing I have to get through this feeding, I have to get
Yep.
through this, okay, I have to
Yep.
get them diapered. And so our focus is like in the immediate, so we can't even think about like, oh my gosh, maybe it's sunny outside and
Mm-hmm. Yep.
that might be a nice day. We're just like, oh my gosh, I'm just so stressed and I just feel so exhausted. And, and I can totally relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know when I was here, it just felt like, okay, this is just what I have to do. There wasn't any other option really. I didn't know that there was other things that I actually could do. Like when I found out it was twins, the very first thought that I had was, I mean, some other things I probably can't say on the podcast, but was like, one of the first things was like, how am I going to survive this? Like that was my immediate expectation rather than anything else. Like, how can I take care of myself so I can do this? How can I build my village and my tribe and community so I can do this well? It was that first thought is like, we just have to survive it. That's almost the expectation when we have twins.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that is just so common, and there's so many different, Facebook and social media groups out there,
Hmm.
specifically on twins. And I think it's just, that is the common thread. Just do what you can to survive.
Yes.
So, so why is that unhelpful? Because I think that is the common mantra.
Hmm.
And I think what you're saying very much goes against that.
Yes. Yes. Because like you see it in, if people are involved in like twin mom support groups, any virtual groups or on Facebook groups or whatnot, like a lot of people will ask, like, when does it get easier? And a lot of the responses will generally be, you just have to survive it until, I mean, sometimes people are saying survive it until they're in like elementary school. And that's a long time to not to be stuck in that survival mode. And so for me, that's why it feels harmful, because survival mode keeps us stuck in our current moment. It keeps us
Mhm.
stuck in what I would call inaction, meaning like there's a lot of action, but we're just focusing on the next thing we have to do, not on the what we can do to set ourselves up for success, to take care of ourselves, to rest, to get breaks, to allow people to help us. Like when we just think you just have to survive it, that just sets that mindset of, this is just something I have to survive. And generally, when we think about that phrase, I just have to survive it, that generally doesn't mean like, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to take care of myself, and I'm going to find moments of joy. Like it's just really shifts into like, got to get through it, buckle up, put your head down, put one foot in front of the other, and keep going. All the while, twin moms and moms, all moms are being told, have to enjoy it now because it's going to go fast and you're going to look back and you're going to miss these years. And so we're stuck in this impossible situation. It's like, okay, but I'm supposed to survive it, but I'm also supposed to enjoy it at the same time. Like, I don't know what to do. And then we feel like we're failing. We feel overwhelmed. We feel like we're not doing a good enough job. And we start to get these really poor and negative ways that we think about ourselves, when really it's the expectation that we just need to survive, rather than the expectation of, we can thrive in the chaos of twins, but we do have to do some of these things so we can actually do that. We need to increase our resilience so we can handle the stress, and so we can be able to problem solve and think critically and ask for help and take breaks and all of the things that we need to do, but are just incredibly hard to do, especially if we're stuck in that survival mode.
Oh, absolutely. No, I can totally see how, yeah, we have these conflicting messages. I totally agree that
Hmm.
there's there's the, oh, here's the, the cuteness of twins. And,
Hmm.
and when you watch and look at so many of the different, the reels on Instagram and,
Hmm.
like the cuteness, and you think, oh, they're enjoying it. And I guess I'm supposed to be enjoying it. And I'm supposed to, have these moments, but I'm like,
Yeah.
but I don't but I can't identify with that. Like, it's like,
Hmm.
I wish I had more of those or any of those, but it's just not
Yeah.
happening. And then there's almost
Yep.
this like comparison and
Hmm.
sense of guilt. And and I have to wonder, what are all those feelings like what kind of effects does that have on us, like on a physiological, level?
Yeah, like all of these things, like when we get into that comparison, we see like, okay, this thing is beautiful on social media, but I'm not saying that my experience doesn't match. And we're stuck in that survival mode. We start to think and feel like, oh, something's wrong with me. I'm not trying hard enough. I need to do this. I need to try this strategy. I need to try this activity to support their development. And then we just really continue to stay stuck in this constant state of like vigilance and reactivity that puts significant strain on our bodies and minds. So we think about all of these things that we have to do. And physiologically, that impacts our nervous system. It slips us over into like what's called our sympathetic nervous system. And this system is responsible for our fight or flight response. If that system remains activated in prolonged periods, that floods our bodies with stress hormones. And while it's helpful for short bursts that we have this stress response, like it keeps us safe. It helps us, do the thing that we need to do, whatever it may be. But if we're in this chronic activation, it can lead to a range of physical symptoms, including like that elevated heart rate, increased blood pressure, muscle tension. Like all twin moms are probably walking around just with their shoulders to their ears because we're all so tense and stressed because there's so much that we're responsible for. And then it can even look like compromised immune function. Like for me, when my boys bring home that bug, I know that it's going to take us a long time to get sick if I am not in a place where I am taking care of myself. If I'm in that survival mode, then I know we're just going to be sick for a while.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that totally makes sense. Yeah, I was gonna say, just the idea of like, if you're stressed out and you're feeling anxious, then it's gonna have all these effects on, like sleeping, right? And energy
Hmm.
level and, thinking, I mean, even I'm sure like breastfeeding, right? Because if we're not feeling great, then that's gonna affect our ability to breastfeed. And so then there's all those different gold layers of stuff that, kind of piles on there, I would imagine.
Yeah, because emotionally, like operating in that survival mode can lead to this sense of overwhelm, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion. We may find ourselves like constantly on edge and we're worried about, supply. We're worried about the next thing that we have to do, or we're anticipating the next crisis or challenge and struggling to find moments of peace and relaxation amidst the chaos. So, and then our emotional reserves become depleted, and it just makes it really difficult for us to regulate our moods and respond calmly. And then mentally, that survival mode, it impairs our cognitive functioning, making it harder for us to think clearly, to concentrate, to make decisions. We may experience even like brain fog, forgetfulness, and difficulty with problem solving. And that just makes us feel worse and even more frustrated about ourselves.
Ugh, wow. So so just having that level of anxiety, it's going to bog us down even more. Even though we think
Hmm.
that we're doing the best, it would just we're getting even more stuck. So
Yeah.
I can just, yeah, this is so unhealthy on so many different levels.
Yes.
So what do twin moms need to do to start getting out of it and into a more balanced life?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. And I love this question because oftentimes we get all of this information and then we're like, okay, but what do I do? And then now our anxiety even increases even more. And that is the opposite of what our goal is today. We want to decrease that overwhelm and that anxiety. So I really appreciate this question. And the very first thing, it's often like, I will say it's not a magic pill, it's not a quick fix, it's not this one strategy that you do and everything's going to be rainbows and butterflies and sunshine. It is this process of taking care of ourselves. And but the very first way that we do that is we need to know what's happening. We need to like pay attention to our emotions, pay attention to our feelings, pay attention to the signals. So like our emotions are just signals and information that our body is telling us, like, hey, something's going on here. We're not okay. Pay attention to this. And so, what we can do is we can connect with, like, wow, I'm feeling really anxious about breastfeeding. And so, we can really identify, okay, so anxious about breastfeeding. What is that? What's happening here? And so we need to be able to identify our feelings to get that information so that we can decide what we need to do. Do I need to see a lactation consultant? Do I need to decrease my expectations? Do I need to seek support? Do I need to drink more water. But once we can identify like, oh, I'm anxious about this, then we can tip over into a strategy, something that we can do to take action so we can be able to get out of that stress response and that survival mode. So again, that very first thing is like we need to first pay attention. But survival mode forces us to disconnect from those feelings, that emotions. Like we can't really think about like what's happening emotionally for us. We need to keep going. So the first thing is like slowing down and being able to pay attention. Like when I work with twin moms, I talk to them like, let's look for moments, literally moments where we can take 1 minute, 30 seconds even, if we can't find that, to pause, take a deep breath, and just to ask yourself, what am I feeling right now?
Mm-hmm.
And so it can be just these really small things where we are now starting to retrain our nervous system and retrain our body that like we can pay attention to these emotions, to these things, because then we can take action.
Mm-hmm. I can totally relate to that. I mean, I think especially I know when my girls were in the first year. I mean, I think if
Mm-hmm.
somebody asked me, how do you feel? Of course, the first thing out of my mouth would be, oh, I'm tired,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just
Yep.
tired. There's this tired, and it's like, well, okay, well, what kind of tired are you? Is it
Mm-hmm.
a physical tired? Are you emotionally tired? And I think there was probably a lot of things to unpack there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, in the first, like, so my husband and I, of course, we didn't have any prior experience as parents. And
Mm-hmm.
so we were still negotiating our roles, like, who's doing what.
Yep.
And okay, I mean, of course, like I would be breastfeeding and what did I need him to do? And, I had like my mother-in-law, but there was all these things where I think I was just, aside from being physically tired, I think there were, I might be just frustrated that maybe things weren't done a certain way, or
Mm-hmm.
frustrated that, I wasn't getting enough time, or maybe I felt like I wasn't getting enough of something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And yeah, I think it was just, it would take a little bit of time just to stop and say, well, okay, besides being tired, what are those
Yeah.
feelings?
Yep, yep. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's so important. And for us, like our experience was similar because my we tag teamed. My husband took my oldest and then I took the twins for when everybody was home and we were just trying to figure life out. And so even then like it was just okay, I'm kind of figuring out how do I split myself into two to be there for these two babies. And there was just a lot of overwhelm for me and a lot of like I am I doing enough? What's happening? I know one of the things that I struggled with the most, that I think a lot of twin moms struggle with, is like they're both crying, they both need me at the same time. Who do I respond to first? And for me, like having to choose which baby to respond to first was so incredibly hard for me and brought up so many feelings that sometimes I just had to disconnect from because I was in that survival mode. But now looking back, I was like, oh, wow, I was really struggling. But I was in that survival mode. I was focused on the next thing I had to do. I wasn't focused on anything else, like what my expectations were for myself. Like I will admit I am in perfectionism recovery, I think, if that's what it's called. Like, and so I had really high unattainable expectations for myself and I think honestly it's a experience that a lot of modern moms have today, is that there's so much parenting information, so much information on social media, which is in theory is a really great thing, but often the information comes too often, too fast, and sometimes it's just not even applicable to twins, where we
Mhm.
can't have these beautiful sensory enrichment activities with twins when we have 30 minutes for tummy time, bottle, cleaning or pumping or whatever it may be. But sometimes we have these really high expectations. And I will say, like, oftentimes our expectations of ourselves that we have of ourselves as moms and as twin moms is usually a huge source of anxiety and overwhelm for us, because we think that we need to do all of these things and do everything perfectly. And then we feel when we don't do that because it's not attainable, then we feel like we're failing. And then we feel like we're not trying hard enough and we just need to try harder tomorrow. And we try to get new ideas and new things. But really, what's happening is that we are focusing on the wrong things. It's not focusing on what
Mhm.
I can do for the babies. We need to take care of the babies, but we also need to focus on what can I do for myself so I can take care of myself, so I can show up for the mom that I actually want to be, and I can meet some of these maybe more realistic expectations that we have.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's so much in there that I can totally relate to. I mean, like I think, like, yeah, the expectations. I mean, when I first found out I was having babies, and I spent so much time shopping for all the baby
Mhm.
gear.
Mhm.
And, I think it's funny because I think I had in my head, like, oh, I'm going to have the babies and they're going to be sleeping in these cute little cribs and they're going to have these cute little outfits. And, I'm
Mhm.
going to show pictures to the friends and family. And, I thought I had like this organization system, and it just went out the window. I mean, and I
Mhm.
think
Yep.
it was really disappointing because I really felt like I had things together,
Mhm.
and I really didn't. And I can say I know I have a number of friends who, like, example, they would give up completely on dressing the babies in the summertime. They're like, okay, they got diapers,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we're good.
Mhm. Yep. I've been there. Yep.
So yeah, I think there's the expectations, like there just seems like there's so many different layers put on us.
Mhm.
We allow that to be put on ourselves, really, that
Yeah.
we just have to go, okay, well, is this something that's really important?
Yeah. Yeah. And there could be a whole, like, I don't know, multiple podcast series on expectations for moms today, but it's in the messaging that we get every single day of a good mom. Like, a good mom is selfless. A good mom loves every moment of parenting. A good mom was made to be, um, to do this and to find joy in every single moment. And if that's the expectation of what a good mom is, when we think about it, like, being selfless means like you have no self, you have no needs, you have no identity, you don't take care of yourself, you take care of other people. But what that looks like in reality is survival mode, is depletion, and is just this chronic state of overwhelm, because we're human beings and we need to be able to fill ourselves up and do things that take care of our bodies and do things that take care of our minds and drink enough water and eat healthy food so we can keep going. Like, there's so many things that we need to do so we can actually be that good mom that so many of us are just desperate to be.
Ugh, oh my gosh. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue our discussion about what twin moms need to do to get out of the survival mode. Welcome back to Twin Talks. Before the break, we were talking with our twin mom coach, Kristen Eberly, about what it takes to move out of survival mode. We talked about first identifying the feelings that you might have, and then looking at your expectations to see, are they healthy, are they realistic, and let's maybe they need to be pared down. So, what else do twin moms need to do?
Yeah, this is a wonderful question. One of the things that I talk about with the twin moms that I work with is we really need to think about, what are your needs? And so when we think about needs, like, these are the things that allow us to function, maybe our basic needs, or maybe, so we need to make sure our basic needs are met. Like, are we eating? Are we drinking enough water? Are we getting some moments of rest and trying to get as much sleep as we can? And I know sleep is super tricky with twins, but really thinking about those basic needs, and then, like, what other needs do we have that remind us of who we are, that fill our cup up so we can keep pouring out of it for our kids, that we can um, be able to show up for ourselves and for our families in the way that we want to. And so really checking our needs and identifying what those needs actually are, and they're going to be individual for each person. What might be something that I need, like, I need a homemade caramel latte every morning, and that makes me find joy in the morning when my boys wake up way too early still. Like, so that is one of my needs that I've decided, this fills me up, this brings me joy, I'm going to do this every single morning. And so what I do for twin moms, to make this very practical, because I've lived it and I know that these grand strategies and things just, there's too much to do. And so I try to strive to make things as practical as possible. So one of the intentions that I have my twin moms that I work with, that I have them set, is, let's do at least one thing a day that's just for yourself. For me, it's that homemade caramel latte. For other people, it might be something else. Could be eating your food while it's hot. It could be going to the bathroom with the door closed. It could be like all of these really basic things that
Right,
when we
right.
think, right, when we think about it, like, oh yeah, I don't think I do that. And then those are the needs that reminds us that we are a human being who has needs. And then the second part of that, and then those needs deserve to be met. Because when we're in the survival mode, one of the strategies that we do so we can keep going is we self sacrifice our needs. We stop taking care of ourselves. We think, oh, I'll take a shower and wash my hair tomorrow. And then tomorrow turns into 5 days and we're just feeling really dirty and bad about ourselves. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so we need to really focus on what are these one things that we can do so we can show up for the way that we want to be. Because if we have these expectations, like we talked about, and we're not meeting our needs, there's no way that we can attain those expectations. And then we're left feeling awful.
Oh, oh my gosh. I love your idea of just, having one thing in the
Mm-hmm.
day. Because I
Yep.
mean that makes it so easy to think about, like, okay, what is my one thing? And maybe it is the same thing from day to
Yeah.
day, like what you have. Or maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, okay, you know what? I just want to get outside. I just want to
Yes.
go for a walk today.
Yep.
And maybe tomorrow I'm going to reward myself with, latte or it just
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
or maybe even like, okay, I want to have talked to one of my good friends on the phone and
Mm-hmm.
just have that, maybe 30 minutes
Yep.
just to talk.
Yeah.
Um
Yep. And it's
so
really
yeah.
these like simple things that we can do. We think it's simple, but honestly, for us, it's life changing because it reminds us, oh, yeah, I can do these things. And oh, yeah, my needs deserve to be met. And then now, once we have this success of doing the one thing, the hope is that we can build on it. And then we can do these beautiful things. And I think when you said going outside, that's like one of the most important things that we can do is get outside and move our bodies. So if we can add those to the lists of needs that we're doing, those are so regulating for our bodies and for our nervous system and help us stop that stress cycle.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, okay, as twin parents, we
Mhm.
all know that to do those things, sometimes it's we're either taking the twins with us
Mhm.
or we're finding someone who can help us. Because I mean, there's times when we need to be alone. And
Mhm.
I,
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I love my girls, but there are times where, oh my gosh, I would have them, like, they would, like, my youngest, she loved to breastfeed. She would be on me all the time. And there were
Mhm.
times I
Mhm.
just needed to her to not be physically on me. I needed to
Yep.
have my space.
Yep.
And so just to do that, though, it seems like it just required some degree of planning, and I'd have to say, okay,
Mhm.
I need this time, and I'd have to either get, babysitter or someone. So I think there's maybe to have those needs met, it takes a little bit of legwork to communicate that and say,
Yes.
I need to do this or I need to plan it out.
Yep.
So it requires a little bit of forethought, right?
It does. It does. And I will say this is not like an just do one thing and you'll be great. Like it does take work and it does take planning and this is why it's so hard. And this is why like we need help. We can't just say, "Okay, I'm going to add this to the list and I'm going to do one more thing." We can get really creative about how we meet these needs, and that's one of the things that I work with really hard with twin moms is like, what does this look like for you, and how can we individualize this to your current situation, because not everyone has access to childcare support. Not everyone has a partner that's available and home 24/7. And so we do have to get creative. But the very first thing that we need to do is we need to communicate our needs to someone else. We can't just say, okay, I'm going to focus on this and I'm going to do it all by myself. Like we have to be able to communicate it and say, this is really important to me. I've learned that I'm just in survival mode right now and I need some help getting out of it. So in the morning, I need you 5 minutes to go take the twins and I will do this, this, and this. So it does require planning and communication. And I will say this communication, sometimes in partnerships and in relationships like this, it's easy. Their partner's like, okay, great, I got it, no problem. Sometimes there's a lot of barriers to that, and it takes multiple conversations over time, just to set that again, that realistic expectation of it's not always just do this and everything will be rainbows and butterflies and sunshine. Sometimes there are boundaries that we need to set, and we need to say, this is what I need. I am letting you know this is what I need, and I need you to do this, this, and this. We can
Yeah.
talk about what that looks like, but we do sometimes have to set a boundary. And for me, boundaries are just saying what's okay and what's not okay for us. And so that boundary may be it's like it's not okay for in my situation for a while it was like it's not okay that I wake up every morning really early and you get to sleep in. But my partner didn't know that that was a problem for me because I didn't say anything to him
Mm-hmm.
about it. And so once I was
Mm-hmm.
able to say like, "Hey, we need to switch off on the weekends so I can be able to get some sleep," then it worked out, but it takes that step of we need to actually say something and set that boundary for ourselves.
Yeah. I think that is the hardest thing is just
Mhm.
sometimes communicate because and I get it. Like I think our partners, I mean, and a lot of the guys, the husbands are just really clueless. I mean, and I think, extended friends and family who just haven't had this experience. I mean, they
Mhm.
can't, they just don't know. They're not inside our head. So yeah, I think we might be saying, hey, don't you see that I'm tired and I'm like just exhausted, I'm doing this, don't you get it? But it's really not clear what we need.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
I think maybe that's time, just verbally say it, or a little note about
Mhm. Yeah, it can be anything. Sometimes it can be even like text messages. We have this belief that it needs to be in person, and maybe that's like the what we're shooting for. But I know if I were to have a conversation with my husband about something important and my kids are around, we're not having that conversation because everybody has needs and everybody's loud and everybody wants attention. And so sometimes it can be like text messages. Sometimes it can be like, hey, writing a note, whatever works. The whole goal is that we have that communication so we can connect on this issue. A lot of times we see in these early years, we're both in survival mode, both partners. And so we disconnect. We don't communicate. We just survive. But any way that we can, we need to be able to communicate what's happening so we can be on the same page and we can support each other. Because it's hard. I don't know if you know that, but raising twins is really hard. And we have to be able to do it with our village and with our people as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, so if communicating our needs and
Mhm.
setting boundaries, and so what are some of the steps that you would recommend within this process?
Yeah. And so one of the things that we really want to look at is like, what are the things that are easy for you already? We don't want to reinvent the wheel. So if you have strengths or if there are things that you are really good at, if there's things that you enjoy, like we really want to focus on like how to incorporate those. Like for me, like I'm pretty good at organizing and planning. And so that was one of the things that like, okay, I really need to focus on organizing and planning so we can make our outing more successful. So let me pack the diaper bag with everything that we would need. Like that's something that was a strength for mine. So I didn't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel. I was able to remember the things that I'm good at because for me, having twins was the most humbling experience that I've ever had. And reminding myself of my strengths, the things that I'm good at, has been really helpful to reconnect with myself and reconnect with that confidence, my certainty of myself as well. And then some of the other like really practical steps that we can do is, like I said, is movement, doing things that remind us of who we are. Being outside, and there's a bunch of different strategies and things that I work with the twin moms that I do, so we can regulate our nervous system, and so we can be able to take these practical strategies and handle the stress and thrive with twins.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I think you're so right. Like the idea of the strength, and the strengths can be, there's the physical strengths of, maybe it looks like, going outside, or if,
Hmm.
if you like to go hiking, then just figuring
Yes.
out a way
Yep.
to do that, going outside, or, I know like in my case, it's funny. I think like, career wise, I ended up, getting involved with my local twins club,
Hmm.
and did some different programs and brought in, I was part of charge of the speaking program, and it was really great for me to I met some friends, and we're lifelong friends now,
Hmm.
and so I felt like I could do something different, that it was fulfilling for me personally, and it was, hadn't planned on it, so
Hmm. Yep.
I think my takeaway is just that, you can do things differently, and it can be unexpected as well. Just,
Hmm.
finding commonalities with other, twin parents, or just, like going and exploring new places that maybe you wouldn't have gone to,
Hmm.
and finding connections there. So, I it's like I think it really means you have to have an open mind to it.
Yeah. Yep. And that's one of the first things to go in survival mode, right? Is that we're just focused on that next thing. And so if we can do these small things to take care of ourselves, then it opens up ourselves for this problem solving, this creativity, and this being able to be flexible and adaptable and maybe trying some new things that maybe we wouldn't before in the first place.
Yeah. Now, also, okay, I mean, I read your guide, and in your
Mm-hmm.
guide, you talk about choosing your village, and I have to say, it really resonated with me because I know, like we just mentioned that there's so much out there that is prescribing a certain way of parenting. Everybody has their opinions, and everybody's
Mm-hmm.
saying that this is the next big thing, and this worked for me, so it should work for you.
Yes.
Um,
Yep.
so what's your advice to twin moms about checking and choosing their village?
Yeah, and this is really something that's unique for modern moms now is that we have so much influence through social media. And we can connect with people that we've never connected with before, people that we wouldn't relate to. Like it is a beautiful thing, and there are some risks to social media. And so this is one of the things that I talk to twin moms a lot about is like we really need to check for your like virtual village, and oftentimes, this virtual village is becoming our own village. There are some twin moms that don't have the twin mom group in their community, or they can't, for whatever reason, go to the twin mom group, or they don't know anybody who has twins. And so we're really relying on this virtual village that we have that can be such a beautiful thing. But one of the things that we really need to think about is how am I feeling after I consume this person's content? After I, watch their reel, read their carousel, like whatever it is, like how am I actually feeling? We need to pause and tune in to say, okay, am I feeling motivated and am I feeling like seen and heard and connected? Or am I feeling like I need to try harder? Like I need to
Mm-hmm.
do more, or feeling like just really bad about ourselves, like I'm not doing that and I should be doing that, I'm failing. And so if we
Mm-hmm.
leave some of these social media pages and really feel like really bad about ourselves, then that's a sign that they are not part of our village. They may be a wonderful um, content creator, whatever it is, but that person might not be for you for where you are in this moment in time. I know for
Mm-hmm.
me and the work that I put out on social media is really trying to talk about the hard parts of twin parenting, and really provide a safe place for twin moms to do that. But there are some moms who my page is not for. There's been people that have reached out to me that are one of their twins has passed away, and my content really made them grieve their experience
Mm-hmm.
all over again. And so I am not for that person. And so I asked her to unfollow me and to make sure that she follows people that don't activate this for her so much. And so we get the choice for social media, who we follow, who we don't follow, but we really have to pay attention with who we are engaging with, how they make us feel about ourselves, and if we feel seen and understood, are really
Mm-hmm.
important things to think about when we're looking at our virtual village.
Hmm. I can understand. Like, yeah, I think there's probably a number of pages out there, or digital creators who have this seemingly sort of perfect life. And
Mhm.
I've seen them. There's a few. Let's say before twins, I used to do a lot more traveling, and
Mhm.
I love to travel. And so sometimes when I see some of the pages where they're traveling with twins to exotic places,
Mhm.
and I think, oh gosh, I wish that I could have done. I mean, when my girls were little, I mean, we did not travel for the first few years,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I mean, we're starting to now because they're
Yep.
older, and so I can relate, because there's sometimes I feel like, well, why couldn't we do that? Well, why didn't we just get that together? And so there's this almost sense of like I'm missing out.
Mhm.
And so I have to really catch myself to
Yeah.
say, is that filling me up? Is that making me feel good of
Mhm.
things that I have control over?
Yeah.
Is it inspiring me, or is it making me feel like I've just, I'm missing something?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
That's so important. Yeah. Because it comes on, like we see a reel and like every 5 seconds we're seeing a new reel or new post or whatever it is. So we normally don't take the time to think about that. But that's something that we can intentionally pay attention to is if we go to someone's page and we look at their stuff and we think, oh, I don't really know. This just makes me feel like I'm not trying hard enough, or this makes me really miss travel. And now that's taking away from being present from my girls. Then we can think about, you know what? No, that one right now, that's not where I'm at in this life. And being able to continue to almost like trigger and activate yourself by seeing that is just not for you right now. And it's not filling you up, like you said.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, so I know you've got a really great program. So what
Yeah.
resources can you recommend to our listeners today who really want to make a change in the way that they define their life and really thrive as a twin parent?
Yeah. So I have a free guide. So I've given you the free guide. So it'll be in the show notes. And so that free guide is a great place to get started, just to learn a little bit about me and to learn about the work that I do. And it has some really great strategies in there to be able to help us notice this survival mode, and then do easy and practical strategies to help ease that maybe overwhelm and anxiety. And then I'm active on Instagram. My handle is at harmony_in_multiples. And so there I really try to focus on posting that the content that I needed when I became a twin mom. I needed other moms out there saying, like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. And I needed to see, for people to be able to say that this is hard. And so I tried to step into that space on Instagram. I have a Facebook group that I offer as well for twin moms, focusing on easing that overwhelm and anxiety and overstimulation for twin moms. And then I also have a coaching program that I offer twin moms as well. And in that coaching program, we really focus on all of these things that are causing us to stay stuck in survival mode, and then really focus on how do we get twin moms on the twin mom um, thriving path. And so that's what this program focuses on. And then I provide coaching within that program because I know how important it is to be able to get that support. Oftentimes we buy a course and we think we're going to spend time doing it and we're going to get it done, and we never do. I honestly can say I probably have 2 or 3 that I've purchased in the past and haven't had the time to do. And so what the program that I offer, I provide coaching support within the program to help with accountability, to help with motivation, to help with, okay, what does this look like in actual real life? You tell me to do one thing for myself, I have no idea how even to get started. I don't know what to do. Then we can provide that coaching support to be able to individualize this for your life, so each person can have that opportunity to thrive with twins.
Wow. Well, this has been such an enlightening discussion with you today. And so thank you, Kristen, for
Yes,
bringing
thank you for having
forward such
me.
just really important information that we don't get elsewhere. And for our listeners, if you'd like to learn more about Kristen's program to help twin moms thrive, so you can visit newmommymedia.com, where we'll have all the links to Kristen's website and Facebook group. And you also have all of the Twin Talks podcast episodes, plus videos and more. Well, that wraps up our show for today. Thanks for listening. If you like Twin Talks as much as we do, well, please consider checking out the amazing businesses that sponsor our show week after week. And we'd also love for you to tell other twin parents about this resource, which of course is absolutely free. And if you want to check out some of our other parenting podcasts, such as Newbies, it's everything about newborns, Parent Savers, think parenting hacks, The Boob Group, the lowdown on breastfeeding, and Preggy Pals, everything you could possibly need to know about pregnancy, then visit our website at newmommymedia.com. Thanks for listening to Twin Talks, Parenting Times 2.
This has been a New Mommy Media production. The information and material contained in this episode are presented for educational purposes only. Statements and opinions expressed in this episode are not necessarily those of New Mommy Media and should not be considered facts. While such information and materials are believed to be accurate, it is not intended to replace or substitute for professional medical advice or care, and should not be used for diagnosing or treating healthcare problem or disease or prescribing any medication. If you have questions or concerns regarding your physical or mental health or the health of your baby, please seek assistance from a qualified healthcare provider.
Hey mamas, don't forget to check out Mighty Moms. It's our online community built for new moms just like you. Not only can you connect with other moms, but you can also join us backstage for special mom-only online events. And you'll also be notified when we're recording so you can join us as a special guest. Visit our website, newmommymedia.com, and click on the Mighty Moms banner. It's free. That's newmommymedia.com. See you there.